I have a Kenmore Coldspot Model 106 that is not cooling. I have some questions. Can you help me answer them?
Hello, my name is XXXXXX. You for choosing our service. Sure, how may I help you? Please put a letter right in front of the model number so I can see it, otherwise it gets blocked because the model resembles a phone number. A106. XXXXXX, like that. Thanks, Barry.
Model number is XXXXX.
Thank you, Jim. Now I can see it. What questions do you have? Barry.
Did you get the preliminary info I sent? I have a Kenmore Coldspot that has stopped cooling on both the freezer and the refrigerator sides. I have vacuumed the coils, the compressor and condenser fan will run, the freezer fan runs, the defrost heater and thermostat both have continuity. What else can I check? Does this unit have a defrost timer or is that controlled through the control panel? Jim.
Yes, the defrost on this model is controlled by the main board, which is the same board you change the temperature with. When it runs longer than 15 minutes, do the coils in the freezer get lightly frosted? Have you ever seen them packed with frost? Barry.
No, I did not see any frost. Today when I started to troubleshoot the problem, the unit had been unplugged since yesterday, so was fully defrosted.
What you need to do is, and now if you can, is remove the lower rear section inside of the freezer so you can see the coils. Plug it in and turn it on. Leave the doors shut for 30 minutes, then look at the coils and let me know if the whole set has become lightly frosted. Please take your time, I will be here. Make sure the compressor and rear fan come on. Thanks, Barry.
I just did that and I can see the coils getting frost on them now after just 4 to 5 minutes. The compressor is running but does not feel very warm and both fans are running.
What you want to see is the entire set get frosted. That can take about 30 to 45 minutes and that is about average for all models. If they get frosted sooner than that, then it is cooling great. Make sure the compressor is not cutting out if they do not get frosted. If they do frost, check the drain pan underneath for a lot of water. If it's there, then not defrosting is the problem and the board will be the problem. Also, if you find that the refrigerator should get cold and remain cold for at least 10 days before the frost gets so thick that it cannot circulate the air. If the compressor does not cut out and the coils do not become lightly frosted from top to bottom, there is a coolant leak in the system. If you have questions about my answer, please click the reply to link. I will be happy to explain anything that is not clear. Please do not forget to leave a rating. If you have a problem leaving a rating, please let me know. Thanks, Barry.
I have a question about your reply below. If they do frost, check the drain pan underneath for a lot of water. If it's there, then not defrosting is the problem and the board will be the problem. Also, if you find that the refrigerator should get cold and remain cold for at least 10 days before the frost gets so thick that it cannot circulate the air, the drain pan bottom of the unit, not the freezer pan, appears bone dry. Please clarify your reply. I would think if there is a lot of water in the drain pan, then that would indicate that the unit had recently defrosted and the defrost heater, thermostat, etc. are working. I first noticed the problem Friday. I vacuumed the coils and plugged the unit back in. It was reported that it ran for several hours and actually dropped some ice into the ice tray but then stopped, and neither the fridge or freezer were cooling.
If it is bone dry, then it has been defrosting. Are the coils completely frosted yet? Is this one that you are repairing for a customer? Very.
Yes, all coils from top to bottom have very light frost on them and appear to be operating normally.
Okay, well, it's definitely not the compressor or coolant level. If it does not make it to the correct temperature but maintains the temperature it does make it to replace the sensor. If the temperature is erratic and does not maintain any temperature, the board is going out. Sears does not give out the specs on the sensor, so you can only measure to see if it is open or shorted. If you have a refrigerator that has not been defrosting, there will be a huge buildup of ice on the coils. Unplugging it for 10 hours would create a lot of water and you would see it in the drain pan. One that is defrosting normally will have very little frost to melt, and the pan would be almost dry or dry as it should be. Very.
Barry, I just checked the compressor now after it's been running for almost 45 minutes and it is hot to the touch. Does it have a thermal trip that could be shutting off the compressor? Regarding your last reply. If I understood correctly, you're sighing if it maintains a steady temp, even thought it may not be the correct temp, then the sensor needs to be replaced. Which sensor? And if the temp is erratic, then you're saying it's most likely the board going bad. Do you have the part numbers for each item? Is there a way to test the sensor for open or shorted? Jim.
Yes, there is a thermal overload. You can hear it click if you're in the room with it. It's a pretty loud click. It will be hotter than normal because the inside is hot and the heat is coming out with the coolant. It should not get cold when it's running, but once the refrigerator gets cooler, the compressor will get cooler too. When an overload is failing or when the compressor starts tripping in overload, it will click every 3 to 5 minutes non-stop. The sensor is in the top left of the fresh food section. Remove that corner panel and you can see it. Unplug it after shutting the refrigerator down. Set your meter to ohms and put one probe in each connection of the sensor. Open will be nothing at all and closed will show a 0. A lot of sensors read in the 16K to 18K ohm range. That is not to say that is the normal range for this sensor, but I am saying expect it to read somewhere around that range. Yes, if a sensor is weak, it will still maintain the temperature at some range even if it is wrong, unless it is shorted or open. For example, if you set it for 37 degrees, it may maintain 48. A board going bad will not do that. Board part number NNNNNNNNBR/sensor part number NNNNNNNBR/thanks, Barry.
Barry, okay, at this point I'm going to let the refrigerator run. I ask my friends to monitor the compressor every hour, and if they notice that it's not running, to check the coils for frost and listen for the clicking sound on the compressor. Is there a way for me to follow up with you tomorrow on this? Jim.
Sure, you can follow up, Jim. I will be here. Save this page to your favorites. Follow-ups are free for 30 days for the same problem. If they are monitoring the compressor, what they need to watch for is the fans to operate or the fans not. Or the whole thing shutting off. Have a nice rest of the Easter Sunday. Barry.
Barry, we're back. We ordered a new thermistor and control board. Both the old and new thermistors read something around 1.2 ohms, but neither shows continuity when simply checking for a closed circuit. Also, can you tell me the process for replacing the control board? The new board came with a thin white plastic front snapped on the thinner front board section, and both the thin front board and larger rear board are in the same plane. It appears the white plastic piece needs to be removed and installed from the front, and then the board needs to be reattached to the white plastic support. Also, is it normal to bend, or hinge, the two sections of the board upon install? The current board is angled between the two board sections, i.e., not in the same plane, Jim.
Hi Jim, break it. It is designed to snap and fold 45 degrees. Thanks, Barry.
Barry, yeah, that's what I thought. I figured it out by the way it was snapped in. I replaced the control board and the thermistor, and it's back running now, so I'll check the frost pattern in 45 minutes or so, and hopefully it will run beyond the first defrost cycle. It appears it was running fine until it defrosted and then the unit never restarted. Hopefully that's due to the board and not something else. I may check back tomorrow if it's not fixed. Thanks, Jim.
Please do, Jim. Have a nice evening and leave a rating when you get time. Thanks, Barry.
Barry, I have a couple final questions. Is there a way to test the control board functions? Is there a way to know when the defrost cycle is on? I'm assuming that the defrost heater is kicking on, melting the ice on coiled and then shutting off, but I have not actually checked whether it's on and getting hot. It appears the fridge just never restarts after the defrost cycle. Jim P.S. If we leave a rating, does that end this conversation?
The only way to test the heater on this model is to remove the rear inside freezer wall. Disconnect the heater at the top of the freezer coils and ohm it. No reading at all is a bad heater. The thermostat at the top of the coils must be cold and you can ohm that. No reading is bad. That is the defrost circuit besides the board. I do not know if the board does a self-test. Whirlpool built this model for Sears, and the service documents get turned over directly to Sears and never released by Whirlpool or Sears. The only way to see them is to work for Sears, and I never have. There could be a self-test, but I do not know what it is. No, it does not end the conversation. This is open for 30 days no matter what, just have the link saved. Thanks, Barry.
Barry, okay, great. I had checked both of those before I contacted you and both had continuity. The only FYI feedback I have regarding the thermostat, in the upper fridge section is I thought you said it should read 16-18 ohms. Both the old and new unit measured 2.4. Well, I just checked the coils and there is no sign of frost at all. The fridge has been running now for 35 minutes. I also noticed the red light is blinking on the ice maker control in the freezer. Not a happy camper now. Jim.
Put your old board back in to verify. It should be frosting with the new one if it frosted with the old one. If it does, send it back. Nothing changed but the board. Barry.
Barry, I just checked the back of the fridge and the condenser fan is running but the compressor is not. The compressor is hot but I am able to touch it. Jim.
Set a meter above 120 volts AC, put one lead to a clean frame ground and rotate through the wires on the relay and overload. Are any of them hot? Very.
Very. On this fridge, the 3 pins on the compressor are oriented such that one is at bottom and 2 are at the top. The lower pin on the relay had 115 volts AC.
Unplug it. Remove the parts the wires go to on the side of the compressor. They pull straight off the pins, you can leave the wires attached. Once you have those off, this is what to do. There are 3 pins, name a pin number 1 and set your meter to RX 1 ohms. Rotate through all 3 pins just like below. One probe from the meter to pin 1 and the other to pin 3, for example, and do all 3 sets just below 1 to 3, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, write each one down and let me know what the meter says. At each test, it's not important which pin you name pin 1, you do that so you can keep track of the measurements and separate them. The next test is each pin to a good frame ground with the same ohm RX1 setting. One probe to each pin 1 at a time and the other probe from the meter to a clean frame unpainted piece of metal. You should get no reading. Let me know what you find. Very.
Very. In the first part of this test, are you saying to check the pins on the compressor for ohms? If so, I have already done that and they read approx 10, 6 and 4. On the starter relay, what do I need to check? With the fridge unplugged, I check resistance across all sets, and all show open. No reading. Jim PS. Is it possible to talk by cell phone? My cell number is XXXXXXNNNNNNN. I'm running out of time here. This fridge is at my in-laws' house and I need to leave soon. Also, do you have the PN for the starter relay?
You cannot load the relay and overload to check them, you can only check them for power then test the compressor, you have to load and overload. Those are good readings for the compressor. On this model there are 2 different sets of overloads and relays and both are listed on the diagram. Take a picture of the part along with the model number to an appliance parts store and get the match. It is the most sure way of getting the correct part. Thanks, Barry. I think you have this one. There are 2 listed NNN, but there is also for that same model this one listed on the same parts list, NNN. I really believe it is the first number. The problem I have ran into in the past when I have seen 2 parts listed is occasionally neither is right, so be sure to take your model number as well as the part. Thanks, Barry.
Very, thanks. I'll bring the part and model/serial number info as well. I'll let you know how it turns out. Jim PS. Excellent service.
Thanks, Jim. Please let me know how it goes. You and your family have a nice night. Very.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.